Today I'm here to deliver this training on how to amplify your influence and visibility and maximize your reach on social media in under an hour a day. I have had many conversations with so many incredible women on this topic, and it seems to be a big issue, especially as social media gets noisier. And so it's been a little while since I've actually talked about this specific topic, although last week I also talked about content creation. I thought I will continue last week's topic with this training. So if you're thinking your biggest challenge in business is something else, perhaps you're thinking you need more leads or you need more sales, right? As you follow on through this training, you'll realize that it all starts here. It all starts with your influence, with your visibility, with the reach that you actually have. And without that, you won't be able to generate leads or make sales, and the bigger sort of income numbers like the 100K months that I sometimes talk about will kind of not be possible, right? So if you are a busy woman like I am, or even if you just want more freedom in your life, right, so you can work around family, so you can travel perhaps, whatever the reason is, then building a business without hustling is what you'd likely want, right? Which is the same as me. And that's what, it is a core part of what I'm going to be talking about in today's training as well, right? How to do things efficiently. So before I get into the training in detail, let me just super quickly introduce myself for those of you incredible women who are new to my world. I am Anne Ryan. I'm a business mentor and a money mindset coach. I live in Melbourne in Australia, and I help my clients who are coaches, consultants, and course creators to package and position their incredible value into a high ticket offer. So they often need a couple of sales a month to earn a six-figure plus income. And they can actually, build a very successful business without, hustling, without having to work lots and lots of hours. And they can still have a lot of impact, right? Exactly like I do inside of this Facebook group and otherwise. If you're not sure how I do that, I help my clients to put systems in place. Some of it I'm going to talk about in this particular training, but obviously there's more to it than that. And, it is entirely possible to earn multiple six figures. I have clients earning $100,000 months, same as me, working less than 4 hours a day, right? So if you'd like to explore what that looks like, what working with me looks like, then drop a hashtag support or send me a DM, and I'd love to have a conversation to see if we're a good fit. Now, before I go any further, I want to start this training by us all getting on the same page about what is influence, what is visibility, and what is reach. Yeah, because sometimes, the basics get missed, and I just want to make sure you kind of understand how important this is and what this actually means. Hi, Lainey. Good to see you. Thank you for joining from Oregon. Awesome. All right. So as coaches and consultants, I'm guessing you are one of those, have a business in that space, then our influence is our capacity to have an effect on someone, right? So I'd love to know, what do you want to influence your audience about? Or how do you influence your audience? I'm going to give you an example, but I'd love you to share that in the comments, because this is like, if you can't put this into simple words, then that's the first issue that we have, right, when it comes to influence. So let me know in the comments. I'll start by saying, I want to influence you and anyone else that follows me that high ticket offers are a win-win for everyone, right? For everyone concerned. It's not just for us, it's also for our clients. Now, I'm not going to go into that in this training, because that's not what this training is about, but I'm just talking about it from an influence perspective. Yeah. My Facebook group name is called High Ticket Strategies. Yeah. When people come into my world, there's no surprise from them as to what it is that I talk about, right? When it comes to my influence, I talk about the benefits of high ticket. I also consistently talk about keeping business simple, right? You hear that. Often I'm talking about get stuff done in under 4 hours most days. Yeah. Simplicity, time, no need to hustle, right? Now, they are the core elements that I am looking to influence you and the rest of my audience on. So I'd love to know, what are you influencing your audience on? Are you known for it? Like, if I was to ask anyone in your audience, would they know? Because whether you are brand new to my world or whether you've been following me for a while, this will not come as a surprise, right? As to what I talk about all the time. Yeah. I'm not trying to influence you on politics or on my religious beliefs or on whether or not to vaccinate. None of that is in my content, and it's not something I want to influence anyone on. I have my own beliefs around those things, but I am really clear on what it is I'm here to do and how I influence my audience, right? I'm crystal clear on that. And this is how I've been able to reach the kind of numbers that I've reached with a really small audience. A really, really small audience, right? So I'd love to know, what are you influencing your audience on? If I was to reach out to your audience, would that be crystal clear for them? As clear as I am? Think about that, right? And comment and drop them in the comments. This is kind of, the more you can interact, the more I can support you as well and give you some specifics as well. Now let's look at visibility. Your visibility online refers to how easily you or your products or your services can be found. Yeah. So again, I'm going to keep asking questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, how visible do you think you are? Right? There are, I don't know, billions of people on social media, whatever platform you choose. Let's talk Facebook right now, right? Because that's where we are right now. But this will also stream on YouTube. This will also appear on Instagram. Yeah. So how visible are you right now on a scale of 1 to 10? See, on social media, algorithms play a part, just like on Google, you've heard SEO plays a part, yeah, for you on your visibility. Again, this training is not about SEO, this training is not about algorithms, it's very much about the content piece, which I'm going to get to, but this is a really important part of visibility, yeah. When it comes to the algorithms on social media, the quality of your content plays a part, yeah, and so does how much you actually engage with your audience. This is social media, so you have to be social, right? So dropping a post and then disappearing off the internet or creating more posts is actually not the solution for visibility to get the algorithms working. I mean, I hear so often the algorithms aren't working for me. And it's like, are you sharing good content? Number one. Are you engaging with your audience? Number two. Or are you sharing more content? Because if you're not visible, sharing more is not going to make you more visible, right? So that is something to really, really consider. I'm incredibly visible because I share a lot of value and people want what I share. I know what my audience wants. Yeah. And so I'm visible. I'm not just sharing what I feel like sharing. I'm sharing what I know my audience wants. And how do I know this? Because I ask questions, right? This is not rocket science. I'm far more focused on the value than the quantity, actually. I don't really post a lot, but what I post to be really, really valuable. But I'm going to go into this in a lot more detail when it comes to the actual content and all the things, right? So both can play a part. Quantity can play a part as well, but quantity is more from a reach perspective, but which I'm going to touch on now, but the quality plays a part, right? And this is not about it being perfect. That's not what I'm referring to. This is not about perfecting what we do. This is about sharing things that are valuable, that people want, that people are interested in, that people are going to engage with, that, and people meaning our audience, right? People who want our products or services on social media. Reach refers to the number of potential customers who have seen your content. Yeah. So, and reach can be achieved, like you can really maximize your reach on one platform, or reach can be achieved across multiple platforms. Yeah. So this is kind of a really important measure, especially when it comes to businesses that rely on volume. So this is actually not something that I worry about too much specifically, but I thought I'll bring it in to this training because, it is an important measure. The reach is far more important when you're relying heavily on volume, right? So if you have lower ticket offers, or if you want to scale beyond 100K months with one offer, which is what I'm doing, now I'm starting to look at reach. Yeah, because I don't have multiple offers to sell to the same audience. So I need to then expand on my audience and reach more people with the one offer that I have, because that's how I've kept my business simple. Yeah. Is this making sense? This is just the basics of what is influence, what is visibility, what is reach. Let me know. And as far as reach goes, it's only after kind of when I was getting close to that 100K month that I started looking at multiple platforms, right? Because up to that point, I was purely focused on Facebook, on one platform. And I'm not saying it has to be Facebook, but for me, it was Facebook. It was just on one platform. Yeah, I have kept business incredibly simple. And that's what I teach as well, right? So on one hand, gorgeous ladies, it's never been easier to become an influencer, right? To be visible, to reach thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. It's never been easier than it is today. But it's also easy to get lost because there are so many people doing this. Yeah, we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. This is not like what social media was 10, 15 years ago. Today, there's so much noise on social media, right? And our content is what will play a big part. Yeah. So last week I shared about my content strategy for making sales more specifically. Today I'm talking about kind of my overall content strategy and how I've been, how I'm in under an hour a day, how I get so much done. But if you didn't catch last week's training, drop a hashtag sales content and we can get you the replay to that, or you'll find it in this Facebook group. But today's training is more about the influence, the visibility, the reach piece, right? That I've sort of been talking about. So tell me, when it comes to reach, how many platforms are you on? What is your preferred platform, and how many platforms are you on? Let me know. Come on, guys. I know there are lots of you watching, right? So, but also I know I sometimes watch Facebook Lives and things when I'm driving, so I can't always engage and interact, but I'd love you to kind of let me know, because I can share some insights around that too, right? So in this training, I want to really help you to understand how to better leverage your time. Yeah, because that's a big aspect of this as well, because I know how time poor so many people are. And what I'm sharing, I promise you, is exactly what I also teach and share my clients, right? So this is not fluff. This is not a training that's disguising a sales pitch. Of course, I'd love you all to work with me, but this is exactly what I teach my clients too. So listen up, take notes, turn off the distractions, and really kind of take it in, because this works. This is exactly how I've been able to reach 100K months working, you know, way less than most people in business work, and you know, and how my clients have been able to do the same. Implementation, taking action is so important, right? So I really hope that you guys take on board what it is that I share, because this works, right? I promise you this works. Now, I want to touch on the mindset and strategy to increasing your influence, visibility, and reach without hustling, because both play a big part, right? And your mind is going to question what it is that I'm going to share today. Most business owners would love 100K months in their business. Yeah, most would. Some of you may see it as being possible, right? Which is awesome. And others may see it as being not a chance. Yeah. When it comes to your mindset, ultimately, whatever you believe to be true will be your reality. It's that simple, right? And this is basic stuff that I'm talking about. If you believe it's possible, to reach 100K months, working less than 4 hours most days, following this simple content strategy that I'm going to share with you today, you'll do it. And if you believe, oh no, that won't work, you know, I've got to do something different, and you know, 100K months is not even possible for me, and I have to hustle, and I've got to do more, then that will also be your reality, right? Whatever you believe will end up being your reality. So, you know, choose your beliefs wisely is what I would say to that, right? Because most people think that to make that kind of money, they have to have a huge audience, or they have to like share some really complex content strategy they have to have and in place, and neither is the case. That's assuming you're selling high ticket, mind you, right? So if it's low ticket, perhaps you do need a much larger audience. But I'm selling high ticket, and most of my audience tend to be, you know, interested at least in selling high ticket. So in the last few years, and even more so since the dreaded COVID, a huge shift has happened to people buying online. Yeah. And these online shoppers, you, me, everyone, right, start by consuming content. That's how it all starts. Like, I know there are people in here watching me right now who have no clue who I am, and they're starting this kind of like, is she worth following or not? Is she going to influence me or not? Is she going to, you know, whatever, buy consuming my content. Yeah, some of you may have seen me share that I'm going to do this training on my personal profile. Some of you are actually watching me now. Some of you are watching the replay. You are consuming my content, right? So it all starts with content. Yeah, and then we follow a brand. And a byproduct of us consuming the content is we become fans, yeah, and in some cases paying clients. Yeah, sometimes we just have raving fans, and it's all good, right? It's all good, because we also want the raving fans, and some become clients. So what's happened is that creating good content has shifted into being like the most effective strategy that we have now, especially online, when it comes to our business, right? It comes way before how many modalities we have and how many certifications we have and how good we are at getting our clients results and all the things, right? It's way more important than building a website. It's probably even, like less and less people are now paying for ads, because it's like, well, if you're ads are getting more and more expensive for a start, right? And all the traditional marketing activities are heavily now reliant on the value that we share and the actual content that we share, right? And the thing that I find is most entrepreneurs and women that I speak to get really, really caught up on this, right? And they get caught up in the idea of what they're going to create and how much they have to create and not being good at creating and all these other things. And they actually miss out on making the content effective, and they just post random things for the sake of posting. Yeah. The two most important components of creating content is to make it incredibly compelling to your audience and relevant. Yeah. And I talk about this all the freaking time when it comes to content. Yeah, sharing Tony Robbins quotes, it doesn't make you an expert. Sharing positive affirmations doesn't make you an expert. It's not something that people are going to say, oh my gosh, she's such a positive person, I'm going to give her my money, right? It has to be compelling, and it has to be really, really relevant. Yeah. Your content needs to talk less about your modality, and it needs to sound less. I have an issue right now with ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is such an incredible source, yet it is just regurgitated information. It just is so... I can pick ChatGPT content from a mile off, And we need to kind of really talk about the transformation and the promise. That is the thing to talk about, right? In our content. We need people to know what is possible. We need people to know how we can help them. Yeah. Not about the fact that we're a hypnotherapist or we use Reiki or, any of the certifications and modalities that we use, because nobody cares. They just want to know what is the transformation and what's the result that's possible for them. They just want to know that 100K months is possible for them. That's me as a business coach, right? So you've got to really kind of consider, is your content really compelling, and how effective is it? Yeah. And then consistency does play a part, right? Consistency plays a part. So to be effective, it needs to be compelling, it needs to be consistent. But when I say consistent, I'm just talking about, I'm only as consistent as maybe 4 to 5 posts a week, one a day maximum, right? I'm not doing 4 to 5 posts a day. Posting, excuse my language, but shit, 4 to 5 times a day, no one cares. It massively negatively impacts your algorithms because no one cares, right? If you're an influencer like let's say Kim Kardashian, just as an example, who is being paid to influence you on fashion and on beauty and on, I don't know what else, cars probably, and music and all the things, right? And posting multiple times a day what she had for breakfast, where she's going for lunch, her hanging out with her kids and all the other things in between, and what she wore in the evening, and the fight she's having with her latest boyfriend and everything else. Yeah. That's different, right? Because she's an influencer and people care and they want to know all these different things about her. But with us, it's kind of like, it's social media, people need to see all sides of us, that we are real people, that we have families, that we, we have businesses and we have interests. But at the same time, if we post so many times in a day, right, what happens is people go, oh, there she is again, and they just scroll on by. And then Facebook goes, lots of people are scrolling on by. They may not be interested, and your visibility just drops. If you're a coach or consultant, I hate to say this, but no one cares. No one cares enough about you or me to read every post that we share and all the fluff that we put out there. No one cares, right? And it ends up impacting our algorithms negatively, because all social media platforms, right, whether it's Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or anywhere, right, if people are dismissing your content and scrolling on by and they're not paying attention, the platform wants to keep people on the platform and give everyone a really good user experience, and then you become less and less and less visible, right? And so it's really important that we share less content that is more compelling, but we still need to be consistent, right? For me, that's about 4 to 5 times a week maximum because of my lifestyle. There are some weeks when I might only post 3 times, but I'm consistently posting like all year round. You won't go to my social media and see like, oh, is she actually in business? That's the other thing. I kind of go, wow, yeah, are you actually in business? Because you've posted 3 times in the whole month of June, and it's like, well, that doesn't help either, right? So you've got to get that balance right. So most entrepreneurs and coaches that I speak to struggle with content, not knowing what to create, right? And where to spend their time, and feel super overwhelmed with this whole content creation piece. And a lot of my clients come to me feeling really overwhelmed with this too, right? And it doesn't have to be that complicated. It really doesn't. If there's one thing that's become more and more kind of important is that, that it's relevant, and mastering this has been seriously the most instrumental thing to my growth rate. And when I share with you exactly how I do it, you're gonna go, really? Is that it? Because everything that I do is so simple. All right, so let me check my notes, because I've got some notes in front of me, but I'm just rambling on about different things, and I've missed a couple of bits. So how do you amplify your influence and be more visible and maximize your reach and do all these things in under an hour a day? Hands down, without a doubt, I don't pay any attention to my business page, right? The reason being that Facebook wants us to use our business page for business. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'll be completely honest with you, I'm having quite a few challenges because I use my personal profile for business, and I have the lovely Jacelyn who helps me and so on, and she's in my messenger, and because I don't have the time to do it all by myself. But she only came on board way later, right? So I'm going to talk about team in a second as well. Business, you have to pay. You have to pay Facebook to be visible if you're leveraging your business page. Your personal profile right now, everybody sees, right? Unless your content is shit, then nobody sees you. Yeah, and a really good test, and this is very hurtful for us all, right, when we realize this, and I've experienced this myself. If people are seeing your happy birthday posts, then they're seeing all of your posts, right? And if they're seeing all of your posts and they're not liking, loving, or commenting on your posts, then they're just not resonating with the content that you share. Yeah. It's that simple, really. And so to answer your question more specifically though, personal profile, hands down, is the gold mine, is the best place to really be visible. But then you obviously also need to make sure that you're sharing good content, because that's what then keeps you visible, right? And then I move people into my Facebook group, and this is where I kind of share the next level value. Like these trainings, I don't share on my personal profile. People have to come into my Facebook group in order to see it, right? And I didn't have a team initially, so I just focused on Facebook, one platform. That was it. That's all that I could do. But then once I got a team on board, then I was able to expand my reach, and I'm going to be talking about that as well. Thank you, Liana, and you're very welcome, Eddie. So all right, when you're creating a piece of content for your business, think about what it is your clients need to hear, right? Like, what is it that they really need to hear? Not what do you want to talk about? I mean, what you want to talk about is fine if you really fully understand your clients and your community and you've been in business for a little while. But in the early stages, you really need to understand what it is that they want to hear. So when it comes to creating lots of content in an hour a day or less than 5 hours a week, which is like absolute max that I would ever spend on content, is I create one core piece of content per week. For me, it is like this training. This is my core piece of content, right? I decide at the start of the week what my core piece is going to be, and everything revolves around that one core piece of content. And I split that into multiple pieces of content, and you would be shocked at how much I get out of one core piece of content. So I'm not just making this shit up. This is what I do day in, day out, month in, month out, all the things, right? And I've been doing this for a long time, and I've reached 100K months, and I'm continuing to grow and scale and reach bigger audiences, right? But the bigger audiences came after I brought a team on board to help me out. But still, they don't actually spend, any time on creating the content. I do the content creation. They help me with spreading the content out, right? So I create one core piece of content like this training, and from this I can create easily 15 to 20 pieces of content. On average, we put out about 17 pieces of content now. Right? I didn't used to. Now, I've said to you earlier, I only post, 4, maximum 5 times a week. And this is the same, right? It's the same content. It's just how we are repurposing it and how we're creating so much more from that. Yeah. Now, the most important thing with this exercise is to remove your ego, right? This is mindset, which is going to think that it's all too repetitive. And it's not, right? You're going to think, oh my God, it's going to be so boring. No one's going to care. Oh my gosh, I spoke about that for a whole hour in a training. Why would people want it? That's just the internal voice in your head, your ego. And it works, right? Here's a fact. People need to see the same thing multiple times and consume the same thing multiple times before they're going to become a client. Yeah. Aside from your mum, who may be checking out all of your content, even your mum's probably not doing that. Most people will only see, right, one of the multiple things that you share about the same topic. So by sharing the same topic in lots of different ways, like I'm going to share in a moment, and using that one core piece of content in lots of different ways does not mean that people are going to get bored with it, right? You will grab their attention once or twice, perhaps, during the course of the week, and it just reinforces the message, right? So, from a Facebook Live like this, let me get specific. You can share a long form post. I created an event. You can share short posts. You can, using the same content, right? So I've got my bullet points using the same content, right? I can take this Facebook Live and I can upload it on Instagram, on YouTube. I can take this Facebook Live, chop it up, put it into stories, create reels, create shorts for YouTube. These are all the things that we're doing right now. Yeah. The video chopping up, cutting part now, I've outsourced that, but it actually doesn't take that long if you get out of your head. Yeah. You can get so many 60-second snippets from a longer training, right? And you can put that out there. I get lots of views and visibility and reach as a result of this, right? We're doing this right now and it's working. You can create quotes from your content. You can, so rather than quoting Tony Robbins, just an example, or Kim Kardashian, anyone else, right? Create your own quotes from your own content, from your own thing that you've created for that week, right? You can create a blog post. You can ask questions to engage your audience that is relevant to the content of that week, to that core piece of content. You can send emails. We send out 3 emails every week by repurposing the same content, right? And if people don't open their emails, we resend the emails to the people who don't open it. A click of a button. These things save so much time rather than trying to sit there with a blank page and go, what will I create today? What will I create that's going to be completely different to what I created yesterday? This is what wastes so much time, yeah, because people are spending their time thinking about what to create rather than creating one core piece of content and then looking at all the different ways to repurpose that content. So, like now my VA just takes my notes and she repurposes it. So I create my notes for this one training and then I create my long posts and my short posts and so on, but then she'll take that and she'll send it out on email, and she'll take this video and she will chop it up and create reels and put it on shorts on YouTube, and she'll also upload the whole thing onto YouTube, right? We are repurposing like literally one piece of content. And I have been doing this for years, right? So this is a tried and tested strategy. This is what my clients do too, and it works, right? So to increase your reach, you can share your content on your personal profile, on your groups. Eddie, to answer your question, if you're just repurposing content, putting it on your business page, sure, why not? It takes a moment to do that, right? On Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter, or wherever you want to be. I'm not on TikTok or Twitter, but wherever you choose to be, right? All of these things help to increase your reach, yeah? But, there's a big but. But. If your content is not good in the first instance, putting the same content in multiple places will not solve the issue. That's a big but, yeah? So my recommendation is pick one platform, nail it. Get yourself so incredibly visible. Make sure that your content is hitting the mark, the right spots, whatever the saying is, yeah? And then repurpose. Spread it far and wide, yeah? Because then you've got the winning formula already. So I'm curious, what thoughts or limiting beliefs are coming up for you now as I'm sharing how simple this can be? Tell me. When you think about creating lots of content from one core piece, and I'm talking weekly, what comes up for you? I'd love to know. We've all got special gifts, right? We have our talents in the coaching space, in the consulting space, right? We have our core area, our zone of genius, right? Creating content does not have to be in that zone of genius, but we do need to create good content, and our ego can get in the way. And we can feel like everything has to be perfect, or everything has to be, like, don't get me wrong, there's a difference between good and perfect, yeah? Good means it needs to be compelling, yeah? Perfect is like, it has to, everything has, it has to have the perfect picture and the perfect words and the perfect all the things. And, I spend, like some people say to me, I spent hours writing one post. I'm like, really? How? Why? Why is it taking so long? You're getting caught up in perfectionism. You've got a message to share. Just share the freaking message. Yeah? As long as it's relevant and compelling for your audience, that's all that matters. Fear can stop us too from having the impact that we really, really want to have. Because we're just so scared about people judging us and what they will think and who will, what will such and such say, and oh my gosh, I have to share something different because I spoke about that yesterday. That's not what people care about. If you're an expert in something, you need to be talking about that same something all the time, and the only person that cares about the fact that you sound like a broken record is you. Because if people are bored with your message, they're bored with your message, they're not going to be clients anyway. People need to hear the same message over and over and over and over and over again. I'm not going to stop talking about high ticket. I'm not going to stop talking about keeping business simple. I'm not going to stop talking about, we don't have to hustle in order to be successful. I am always, because that is how I influence my dream clients that's what they want. Yeah. And if that's not what they want, if they want a different message, if they want to hear low ticket, selling a $47 offer and selling 50 million of them is the solution, then they're not going to follow me. And that's absolutely okay, because I am not wanting to be for everyone, and I'm not going to be for everyone, so that's perfectly okay. You have nothing to lose and a lot to gain by giving this strategy a go, right? Does anyone have any questions? Let me know, because I have rambled on quite enough. I have actually got way more bullet points, but I think I might actually leave it at that, because let me see what I've not shared about. So I think I've pretty much talked about all the things. This works, gorgeous ladies, this works. And as long as your content is, compelling, it's relevant, it's purposeful, it's effective, all those things. And if it's not, then you kind of have to look at, well, what isn't landing? Is it my audience or is it my message? Yeah. And they're the tweaks that we make. We don't kind of just throw spaghetti at the wall and just create lots of things, or take the content and go, well, it didn't work on Facebook, so I'm going to put it on Instagram to see if it works there. It's kind of like really, and this is where a coach can really help, right? Because it's that feedback loop. It's because we're too close to our own stuff. We have our own blind spots. We can't see why something is not working. Often I can see it a mile off. If you're sounding vanilla, if you're sounding generic, if you're sounding like every other coach on the internet, why the heck would someone pick you? Why? You're not influencing them. Because, everyone, if you're saying exactly what everybody else is saying, then you've got, there's nothing that's influential about that. It's like they're going to go with the person that they trust the most. Yeah. And and that trust also comes with our consistency and our showing up and talking about the same things. If we're talking about one thing one day and a whole different thing the next day, and I mentioned this last week, I think it was last week, or recently anyway. Oh yeah, last week we were talking about audits. And I was like, sometimes I go on people's social media and I'm like, I don't even know what you do. It's not clear to me. It's really not clear to me. So, and sometimes we need that third party, someone, because we have our own blind spots and we think it's all crystal clear, but we need somebody else to sort of look in and kind of go, well, actually that isn't that clear. It's clear to you, but it's not really that clear to anyone else. And so creating content does not have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take so many hours. It just needs to be really, really intentional. And personally, this is how I do it. I create one core piece of content a week, and everything, more or less everything, occasionally I feel like talking about something else, but usually it's somehow linked to that core piece of content for that week. Yeah. And I create so many other pieces of content from that one core piece of content. And this is how I keep business simple. This is how I get stuff done so quickly. And this is how I don't get overwhelmed about how much I have to do, or even creating content. And people will think, oh, it's easy for you, you've been doing this for a while. Well, I also started at zero. I started at zero. I started with no audience. I had less than 5,000 people in my entire audience across Facebook. My email list is tiny. I get invited so often to be on blogs, and they're like, this is the criteria to be on a blog, we need, you need to have 5,000 followers here and 10,000 followers there. And I'm like, I don't have any of that. I have 200 people on YouTube. I have, I've recently cracked 2,000 inside of this Facebook group. At the time I hit 100K months, I don't know, I had about 1,500 in this Facebook group. I had about, 2,500 friends. I didn't have YouTube, or if I did, I probably had about 10 people on YouTube. And on Instagram, I don't know, I had maybe 500 people on Instagram. And my email list was, under 15, not even 1,500. Like, I had a total of about 5,000 across everything, right? And now I might have, 6,000. It's still not heaps, but I'm working on the reach, right? I'm working on expanding my audience so I don't have to create more offers for my small audience, right? And that's how I will continue to scale. So if you'd like to explore what working with me looks like, if you would really truly like to scale your business to 30K, 50K, 100K months beyond, whilst keeping business simple, right? I'd love to have a conversation with you to see if we're a good fit. I cannot help everyone that I speak to, but if you resonate with my message, you've been watching me for a little while, you're on the fence, there's no harm in having a conversation. I don't even get on sales calls unless you want to. I'm very transparent in Messenger. I give you all the answers in there. I even provide an ROI guarantee. So, and my clients are getting incredible results. So drop a hashtag support if you want me to reach out to you, or send me a private message. And thank you so much for being here. It is always lots of fun. My question is, Liana's asked a question, just one sec. My question is how to get in front of more people other than just posting. That is a very good question. Ads. So there's always a trade-off, Liana, right? Ads you pay to get in front of way more people. I'm paying in a slightly different way now after I've sort of really scaled my business. I had no team at all till 50K months, and then I started hiring team at around the 50K month mark, and I didn't expand into other platforms until I reached about 100K month. So yeah, it really depends on the price point, right? That's the thing. If you are selling low ticket, then obviously you do need to get in front of more people, eyeballs, right? The more eyeballs that we can get on our offer, the more sales that we can make. And despite what our price point is, typically about 2 to 3% of our audience is ready to buy at any time. So the lower your price point, the bigger the audience you actually need. Yeah. And so how to get in front of more people other than just posting would be to paid ads. Engagement really helps. Like, the more you engage, the more visible you become as well, from that visibility piece. But from a reach piece, it's taking your content and repurposing it and sharing it in more places, or paying somebody else to do that piece for you. Because I must admit, if someone wasn't doing it for me, I wouldn't be consistently emailing 3 times a week. I wouldn't be visible consistently on other platforms, because I would definitely be able to keep up with what I do on Facebook, because I've always been doing that, right? But all those extra pieces would never happen, just because my life would get priority before I actually am able to repurpose and share things in all the places. So it is the way to, I guess, artificially boost the algorithm is by engaging. Because when you engage on someone else's content, Facebook immediately sees there's a connection between you and that other person, and then you become visible to that other person. Yeah, it's that simple. That's why, Liana, we see each other's content, right? Because we engage on each other's content. And yeah, so that is definitely a strategy for more visibility, the more we engage. And again, that can take time, right? So my visibility has, it's a combination of sharing really good content, and and sometimes we like writing the long form posts, but my most visibility comes from one sentence on a colored background. Yeah, those simple posts get so much more visibility. Yeah, like go check out my personal profile. This is all, like, everything that I'm sharing is what I'm doing. Everything that I'm sharing is what I'm doing. And sometimes that post literally takes me 2 minutes, because I know I've already decided for the week this is what I'm going to talk about. So then creating multiple things, when I say under an hour a day, for me it doesn't take anywhere near that time. But for someone new who's doing this for the first time, yeah, it could take a little bit longer, right? Because practice makes it easier and easier. And also I have a lot of content out there already, and and sometimes I have days when I am like, I don't have time, I've got to run, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, something's happened with my kids or whatever, or my parents, and I actually don't even have an hour. And so I just scroll back, pick something that I did 6 months ago, change it slightly. Sometimes I don't even change it slightly, and I'll just put it out there. But it needs to be relevant to what it is that I'm talking about, right? Because yeah, it matters. Thank you, gorgeous ladies. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. It's always so much more fun to have a conversation when when I have the engagement. So I appreciate you so much, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.